The debate between a Hindu and I took place under this video about Taoism, or Taoism. Alexander Swan said, Tao Te Ching, the true origin of all things. Tose, of quote, said the Rig Veda was composed earlier, but it doesn't matter. Then they claim that all religions talk about the same thing, as in they're all equal, is the gist of this satanic message. I said the Bible is different. It actually has answers to death and the ultimate origin and the exact identity of the Creator. My series on atheist myths proves so. As to the time of the writings or teachings, here is an analogy to show that doesn't really matter. A building is on fire and a man runs from it towards a cop who says, "What happened?" The man says, "The Jew started the fire, he's chasing me." Later the Jew appears, "Sir, I am not the first to tell you my side of the story. That man scapegoated me, and you can't be gullible and believe him just because he was the first to reach your ears." The cop says, "He said something first, so he must be closer to the truth. You are under arrest, Jew." Would the cop be rational in his conclusion? Then Crossing Infinity said, "Lol, have you read the Vedas? It has answers not just to death, but also the afterlife, the ultimate origin / dissolution. The exact identity of not just the Creator, but also of you. The Bible and Vedas both are good and can lead to enlightenment, God realization, if studied properly. I implied rational answers, not merely answers. Hinduism slanders the poor, blaming them for being born poor, claiming it's their fault, based on the reincarnation according to karma doctrine. Because if you're born poor, that's because you had bad karma in a previous life. So you deserve to be poor and you deserve to suffer. That's what Hinduism says. And most Indians are poor, so Hinduism is anti-Indian, insulting most Indians as worthy of suffering just for being born poor. The Bible says mankind is worthy of death for sinning, but that's not the same as being born poor. You don't choose how you're born. But Hinduism says you pretty much do, from previous life's choices that would lead to your being born as a roach or whatever. Anyway, religions that contradict each other can't all be right. I also said, I don't need to read the Vedas to know Hindus believe in the reincarnation is determined by karma of an alleged previous life doctrine, which is an unjust and circular reasoning-based doctrine which proves Hinduism is wrong, as I already explained. Slander is wrong, right? Otherwise, Hinduism is right. Now, Hinduism claims that there are previous lives, but doesn't prove this. And I already proved the Bible right in the aforementioned series I covered on where I crushed atheist myths. I likewise don't need to read the Quran to know that Muslims bow to a cube instead of God, which is idolatry. They treat it like a god, even though they don't call it a god. That's still idolatry because actions speak louder than words. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Then the Hindu said, "Lol, which Hinduism did you read? A quick 10-minute guide to Hinduism by a Christian? All your ideas are wrong about Hinduism." Well, this is a lie. The Hindu is lying to defend his satanic religion, because he said all of what I said is wrong. So he's denying that reincarnation is determined by karma. So he's lying about Hinduism. This is what Hindus do to defend Hinduism. They lie, because Hinduism is full of lies. Hinduism contains, he says, not just rational answers, but the most intellectually sound, supposedly. You should read the Bhagavad Gita first, but please leave your Christian ego behind when you do. The liar says, "I have an ego." We'll see about that. There are many scientific studies, he says, on reincarnation. Yeah, just like there are scientific searches for aliens, but they're still a myth unless proven otherwise. And many children remember their previous births, he claims, or they misinterpret dreams or whatever. In fact, I remember some things from my past life too, he claims. Well, that settles it. He says he has a past life, so he did. It don't matter if you believe or not. It doesn't make it any less untrue, he says. Anyway, then he says, this is previously what is wrong with Christianity. It's not secular at all. Secular, by the way, is a euphemism for atheistic, and atheism, as I proved in my series, in my many videos on atheism, is shit. So secular is shit. And there's nothing neutral about secular societies. The US tried to make me an atheist. They weren't neutral on atheism, they were pro-atheism. Secular is a mask for atheist propaganda machines. Anyway, he said, I've met very few Christians who are secular. Well, that's because they're incompatible. The rest of them either want to convert you. Yeah, how dare they want you to live forever. Want to convert you or show you that their religion is superior. Yeah, how dare they pretend that drinking cow piss isn't an equal culture to worshipping the true God. Rest easy, my man, he says. If it continues like this, there's no hope for Christianity in the future. People are sick and tired of this, he says. So I say, the Hinduism I read is Hindu actions and words. You accuse me of ego with no proof. I forgive you for the slander. I didn't lie about Hinduism. Everyone knows what I said is true. Karma determines your birth to Hindus. So a bad birth means a bad karma. So it's your fault, supposedly, if you suffer from birth, according to Hinduism. That's messed up, unjust, and the true spirit creator did not author this lie. An evil spirit had to be the origin. Do you need to read the Quran to reject Islam? Because millions of Hindus have never and will never read the Quran. But this Hindu believes they're justified in rejecting Islam. Double standard, Hindu. You don't even know what Christianity is. I already finished my series proving that Catholics, so-called Orthodox, and Protestants are heretics. Satan fool, and I got no support. You know why? Because no one wants the truth. Anyway, this world is full of shit. I hate this world. Satan fooled you with his false flag operations. Your past life? You mean a dream you assume was a past life, right? Many would tell you they had dreams of Jesus talking to them. I don't believe them. They're as proven as your claims. You're a Hindu to fit in. That's the same reason people are Muslims or Lutherans or whatever. I had to excommunicate my entire family to follow Jesus. It's lonely to be on the path of truth. Most people put emotions and family above justice. Indians are Hindus because they were 1, indoctrinated, 2, want to fit in. It's a herd mentality. That's why Hindu children raise Hindus when they grow up. It's a family tradition. It's a club. It's about fitting in and having warmth from belonging. But I don't need a club to fit into. God is all I need. I want to convert you or show you that the religion is superior, he says. I get nothing from your repentance other than happiness that someone is no longer lost and has returned to God. I go to heaven whether you do or not. As long as I obey God, of course. I can go to hell if I refuse to obey God. Once saved, always saved is a heresy I already covered in my series on heretics. I don't get any money doing this. I don't go to church. I stop because they're full of hypocrites and frauds. This isn't about me being superior. I've probably been worse than you. I married an atheist even though God forbade it. I'm still reeling from a mistake from a few years ago. I live between India and China, and I met Indians here, and I love rotis. Actually, tonight I bought rotis. My own ancestors were deceived. I'm Iberian, Spanish. They worship devils, my ancestors did. When Spain had its empire, they idolized Mary and a cross. Catholics are heretics. I'm against my own people. It takes humility to do that, saying my race, my people, my nation are blind. But you accuse me of ego when you're the one who can't question his own people's traditions. If I had ego, I wouldn't be a Christian, since it requires the humility to admit that I, for my sins, deserve to burn forever. Ego doesn't have room to exist in a contrite person's heart. He says no hope for Christianity. The thing about truth is that it doesn't need the recognition of anyone. Mortals need the recognition of truth. In Miami, I met Indians. Most were rude except one lady who offered me a seat when I was at a shop. A Sikh told me after I said I want to visit or live in India that it would be a good experience. He had no enthusiasm in his body language. He was saying, I'm glad I don't live there anymore. I'm surprised you want to move there. People are sick and tired of this, he said. Well, that's what many Indians would say about Hindu society. Hinduism is a religion meant to keep the rich on top and the poor on the bottom. Your fault, you're poor. You would have been born rich like me if you were noble. Pfft. It's a scam. Hinduism is a scam. Not secular at all, he said. Secular is a euphemism. I already covered this. So why would secularism be a good thing, not neutral? It's pro-atheism, and atheism is shit. It's worse than Nazism, because it justifies all evil by the nature made me do it implication. Hey, I'm not a spirit from a great spirit. I'm just a bag of flesh walking around. Nature made me do it. Nature made me rape, and I will get away with it when I die, because there's no hell. My opinion determines that. If all is God, then it's like nothing would be God. You ever seen the piss-name movie Incredibles? They said, when everyone is a superhero, that means no one is. If all is God, then it's like nothing would be God. It's similar to if every creature were intelligent. Then it'd be like no one can be called that because their intelligence wouldn't be remarkable relative to others, including maggots. It would just be considered. It would be considered just normal, average, boring intelligence. So pantheism degrades God to the level of a maggot. Pantheism is an insult to the divine. I don't know if I covered this in this debate, but there are Hindus who take their religion more seriously than Mr. Crossing Infinity. The Aghori Hindus are cannibals because they say that corpse is just a manifestation of God, so they eat it. They don't kill the person to eat it. Maybe there are exceptions, but they just find the corpses and then eat them, apparently. So that's a true Hindu, a human eater, because hey, a dead body is just as much God as a living body. Step out of the illusion that there's a difference, because all is God. We are all one. Aum, aum. Pantheism is an insult to the divine. I plan to do a video on our debate. Later I plan to challenge Islam, and a Muslim or more will insult me because Islam, like Hinduism, is defended by bullying, not by logic. I want to do a series on these debates so everyone can see that Antichrist positions are houses of cards. Jesus is the rock. Those who stand on anything else will be washed away in the flood. The next flood is of fire. The last one was of water, of course. Jesus, the Asian Jew, died for Indians just like he died for my European people. Hindu gods are devils who do not care about you. Even Kali obviously looks demonic. They say most Indians deserve suffering, is what Hinduism implies, as already proved. They say it's their fault they were born poor for bad karma in an imaginary previous life. Oh, and also, I didn't cover this in this debate with this Hindu, but if we are reincarnated from previous life forms like animals, then that means eating animals is wrong, which is why a lot of Hindus don't eat animals. But there's a problem here. Well, not one, many. For one thing, this justifies bestiality, because they're just distant cousins. Everyone who marries someone, unless it's incest, marries a distant cousin. Which, so if you have sex with an animal, based on this Hindu doctrine of everyone, changing life form from one life to another. Although, of course, there are different types of Hinduism. Maybe some believe it's only a human into another human, a new human. But, I'm sure some Hindus believe that animals can become humans and vice versa. If that's true, then having sex with animals would be alright, because they're the same as humans, basically, because they are humans later, or they were humans before. Also, if you eat cow or whatever, then that might be your great grandfather who died and reincarnated as a cow, to be honored, of course, because cows are highly honored in India. Cows are more respected than women there. Now, India is not the only place that's bad. I'm not trying to pick on India. Of course, Hinduism has to do with India, so I have to mention India and compare Hindu society to what a just and clean society would look like. I already covered how my ancestors, who were the original Spaniards, were misled, blind, and satanic. So the whole world is blind, not just Indians. Anyway, where was I? So then there are other things to cover on the implication of people reincarnating into or from animals. Anyway, my username is Latin for spark of God, and apparently in the accusative, so when you read my name, I'm saying you are a spark of God. Well, we are all sparks of God. We are all breaths of the divine by default. This is our eternal nature. Maybe we were always with God, but we did not have a separate identity until conception. Anyway, the reincarnation cycle dogma leads to some seriously problematic... Oh, I already covered that. Forgot to check. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh, now Hindus and others would say eating animals is wrong, but then Hindus, including those who care the most for cows and insects, would be mass murderers since they allow their bodies to kill millions of microbes in their stomachs that burn them alive. See a video of a microbe fleeing a white blood cell. They don't want to die. Microbes have feelings too, but only if they're cute do Hindus care about them. Well, that's that. I mean, I could cover more, but I have the 15-minute time limit here, and I already proved Hinduism is of the devil, and you know where I proved the Bible right in my series Crushing Atheist Myths. Mission accomplished.